Alright, so I did read the directions. It comes with this backing plate, and it looks like it's a dual purpose plate. So one side's AMD, the other side is Intel, and it says to install it, if you have Intel, which I do, to install it with the Intel badge facing up. So it looks like on the back of this board, it says use screw hole B, which to me looks like the bottom hole. So I'm not sure which way this orients. Looks like to me it goes that way. And it does look like the holes line up, so the screws go through these holes. I think that fits pretty well. Flip it back over. And then it says to put the screw sleeves on. Pass screw sleeves through each pillar. So that's what these are. So looks like those go on there. So then it wants you to use thermal paste on the cooler, on the top of the CPU. So we'll do that. I do like to spread that out a little bit. This stuff's a mess. Plus I probably used too much. So I'll scrape some of it off here. If you get a thin layer over the top of the entire CPU, the rest of it will squeeze down. Alright, so next step, choose heatsink orientation. This thing's massive. It's got a protective film over the top of it. There's a cable here. I'll get that out of the way. think it wants the fan blowing towards the back. So not quite sure. What the right way to do this is, but it does not appear to fit that direction. I think it does fit that. No, that's not going to work. It's going to block the memory slots. I think it goes this way. So I think I'm going to go like that. And I think the screws are lined up. Actually, I wonder if it might be better this way. Let's turn it around and try it this way. Yeah, I think that's the fan's gonna blow through the heatsink. So I think this is probably the better orientation. Alright. So it looks like now I'm just supposed to tighten the screws from the other side. Which is going to be tricky at best here, so. See if I can't get these started. Alright, let's check and see what I'm doing here. It looks like So I'm going to pause for just a second and make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, back. So yes, I have it on right. Basically, the fan is supposed to be on this end with the I/O panel on the left-hand side. So the fan ultimately, I believe, forces air through the heatsink up to the top, and then the heat will be sucked out of the top of the case. So although the more I look at it, it's going to block a memory port. Okay, I'm back. So I jumped on YouTube because YouTube is always better than instruction manuals. And lo and behold, there was an installation video by the manufacturer. And they show in detail the orientation of the backing plate and the cooler. So basically the fan goes on the right hand side if you're looking at the motherboard, and the I/O panel's on the left hand side, and the fan blows through the heatsink this way. So with it oriented correctly, now I just need to tighten up the screws on the backhand side. Which they line up pretty well. I don't see an issue with that. So I believe it just says alternate between each side incrementally between each screw. I don't think you have to get it too awful tight, but alright. So there we go. Cooler mounted. Thing's massive. I'll wire it up later. This the fan header here, I believe it's right here, but I'll do the wiring last. So that's that. Got the cooler attached. It does look like it's making good contact. And I believe that's all there is to it. Let me check the wonderful installation manual here, which shows you Japanese or Chinese and double checking here to make sure I've got this thing installed right. Almost looks like this X brace is supposed to be installed the other direction, so I can't imagine that this isn't correct. Let me pause one more time and double check this. Okay, we're back. So I checked in a YouTube video to make sure I've got this thing installed right, and I found actually the manufacturer has a video on how to install it. So I had it right. The fan should be on the right hand side, the I/O panel on the left. Air blows through the heatsink, and you don't block the memory slots on the other side. So what had me confused was the bracket. It turns out the bracket on the bottom is adjustable, so it's narrowed up for AMD and it's widened out for Intel. So I've got the Intel, I got it right. It's sitting on the CPU well, it's mounted firmly, and best I can tell, it's going to work just fine. So I'll cable it up later, so we won't bother with that right now. And I think we're good to go. So next, we'll put memory in. So let me figure out which two slots I want to use on the motherboard, and I'll take a quick pause and be right back with you.